A very good evening to you, our viewers. This is the main news. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. The top stories on our desk this evening: President Hakainde Hichilema shames doomsayers on LGBT rights. The church condemns the parading of nudity on social media. And Chief MUNKATA of KAWAMBWA district pleads with government to revive stalled works for the district hospital. In international news, Central African Republic, BANGUI residents react to members of parliament voting to end death penalty. And in sports news, FAS in talks with FIFA over resource mobilization for African leagues.
On Monday 30th May 2022, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba as he hosts Anthony Walia, the presidential spokesperson.
That to be done. So we need to isolate legal debt from illegal debt. Insofar as the legal debt is concerned, we need to immediately place a moratorium on that. What that means is that we need to stop commercial borrowing, because this is what has put us in the problems that we're in now. So once we put a stop on commercial borrowing, it doesn't mean that Zambia will no longer require budgetary support from other people. We will. And this is what the European depiction is saying, that we need now to leverage our bilateral and multilateral relationships with the IMF, the World Bank, and other countries.
As they discuss Zambia's current affairs on DSTV channel 274, GoTV channel 98, and Topstar channel 106.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Well, thank you for joining us. The news in detail. Chief MUNKATA of Lusaka people of KAWAMBWA district in Luapula province has called for the quick completion of the KAWAMBWA district hospital project, which has remained a white elephant since 2019 when the contractors abandoned the site. The traditional leaders say the current existing hospital is strained, having a limited bed space of 60 people against the population of the district, which is estimated at over 100,000 people. Meanwhile, a volunteer caretaker on the construction site, Mr. Martin Tembo, explains that he was engaged as a caretaker in 2017, explaining that he has been living there since work stopped in 2019. Details in this report.
This is the KAWAMBWA District Hospital Phase 1 and 2 project, which now lies as a white elephant overgrown by grass and shrubs. The hospital, which gave hope to residents of KAWAMBWA District when its construction first began, now lies abandoned as no works have been done since 2019, despite predictions from government officials then that it would be complete in the same year. A caretaker of the project, Mr. Martin Tembo, explains that he came here in 2017 when he was engaged as caretaker, and explains that the project was abandoned over 2 years ago.
Sisi kwenye batia NDH wanaenda banatishia paratia mzakala ma caretakers otherwise, so wanaenda 2019 until 2019 until this time tisema caretakers from phase 1 to phase 2 producing as volunteering otherwise.
Meanwhile, Chief MUNKATA says the current existing hospital is old, having been constructed over 60 years ago and has a limited bed capacity, hence the need to complete the project.
Bed space, I don't think we can even call it as a hospital or something else. So, but it's the hospital road Bapanga Spatara Chapter. Now, vice president of the Ministry of Health from Savannah, Bali Mona, if you have a hospital.
Meanwhile, United Party for National Development UPND Secretary General Batuke Emenda, who was in the area for a working visit, has expressed concern over the numerous abandoned projects in the country.
What is very important is that we have taken over government. After taking over government, before you embark on other things, we cannot try to be smarter by leaving a nice building like this and go and start a new building within KAWAMBWA we will complete these buildings so that our people can benefit. Health is the best way you can maintain a country of health people.
Communities have been charged to follow up on projects within their constituencies, with the increase of Constituency Development Fund from 1.6 million to 25.7 million kwacha and the introduction of decentralization. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News.
Fear has gripped residents of Lusaka's Kaliki Compound following an attack on 2 victims, in which one of them lost his life. On May 29, 2022, police recorded 1 death while another nursing wounds at the hospital after they were stabbed by unknown people. Some residents have told Camnet News that the crime levels are increasing in the compound due to illicit activities in the area. Meanwhile, police are still investigating the case.
Continued police presence is what the community is calling for. This is Kaliki Compound, one of Lusaka's densely populated settlements. On Sunday, 2 brothers were attacked by unknown people, in which one succumbed to cruel stabbings while leaving the other in critical condition, currently nursing his wounds in hospital. A check by Camnet News found a tense situation as some residents expressed fear, calling for police patrols to curb crimes in this community.
05/22 kunali winanga anapunda ati Soweto mpamene manje atiromba tikumenya kalasti manje ndiyele umba kumchaya kuti uzileka kuba isendisaka pokola ndisuzira kuti isendisaka pokola wayi mkuba koma banyamata nankhalapo ene pano sana bepo luwande nkalibowa vere kuba olondeyo lamba so naine pano naine ni chiopsezo chakayena chifuka nyamata amene abanyamata majangi opemba ogudi chavyamba amene bankhala mchinyumba bankhala balinengane naine nini chiopsezo ndana zani pa mzanaina mzabwera pano mzangiboni kopa mnyumba ni chitumbi nani chifuka vana nani bali aenda makamping so nikamba pano bali makamping bana nikhalapo na neka mwamenewo.
Others have condemned the drug abuse by young people, threatening the peace and order in the compound.
Mwana wanga wanamulasa manayi, mwana wanga mkazi. So kesi iri mmanja mwaka pokola na wewe banamanga kali pamene apa chani. Pakalikiriki polisi. So until wakapokola ndiye banatenga iyo anali anamwalira cheni kambe so stenzo zwatanga upi. Until kuja ku hospital aenda waenda wamwika na madrip ya manzi yali 15 but mairo pamene wanaenda wamayo na wamayo na wakazi banga but ndiye pamene anapeza kwa trist but bakambate aliko bwino manja hapo but situation yame anapo apezekamo situation iyo namvira chapati ni mamuna wake anamulasa manayi so ni wamene wanyamata wakutati wama pepa machamba chani bija behavior yakaye.
Meanwhile, police have instituted investigation in the matter of the attack. Alex Shimba, Camnet News, in Lusaka.
Nkoloma Ward 1 Area Councillor in KAWAMBWA constituency of Lusaka, Davis Chambo, says he is pursuing the matter of fencing off the Blue Water and Gwenya dams. The 2 dams in the ward have been known for criminal activities, among them dumping of bodies for years. In an interview, Mr. Chambo says he is currently trying to identify contractors who were engaged to fence off the Gwenya Dam years ago to see how they can move in and work on the 2 dams going forward. Residents of Kuku and Misisi compounds have been calling for the fencing off of the dams, charging that they have caused an increase in crime in the area as they are an easy dumping place for many. Details in this report.
Residents of Lusaka's Kuku and Misisi compounds in KAWAMBWA constituency have for years been calling for the fencing off of the Blue Water Dam, which is in Kuku compound, and the Gwenya Dam in Misisi compound, as countless bodies have been found in these dams over the years. It is narrated by the residents that many people drown here, adding that they however believe that a larger number of the bodies are victims of criminal activities, who are thrown in the dams due to their easy accessibility. Residents living near these dams have also been using them for fishing activities, bathing, and washing of clothes, despite this being prohibited by the council as the dams are polluted. Despite these regulations, the situation has continued as no one is on the ground to monitor if regulations are being adhered to. The residents have been calling for speedy action on the fencing off of the dams, stating that this should be treated as a matter of emergency, adding that the dams also cause flooding to their houses during the rain season.
Bantu bakufa kuseni na mzuba isetalema mwandini. Government yanyo aniyanganepo ndiye chetina votela mavuto ya chiramu kuno kungwe.
Fika tandizo kuno kungwe ni damu kuno. Bantu baferako maningi. Kulibe tandizo kuno. Bantu daily bamwera apa mena apa. Daily ati bantu bali pangwenyi.
Koloma Ward 1 Councillor Mr. Davis Chembo says he has seriously begun pursuing the matter to see how soon fencing off can be done, as both dams sit in his ward.
As it is fenced, it has to be raised again. That is for blue water. It has to be raised, and we need the proper security for that. And it has the gate, so it needs to have a gate. So we need to have a source where we need to get that finance. Then we fence that. Then at least in that way, we need to even to have someone to guard. Then we have even the Ngwenya Dam that is in Mrs. Ngwenya Dam, it has been long awaited. I understand there's someone who need to fence that, but in as far as I'm concerned, I need to find out who that person should be, so that we get in contact and you get in touch with that particular person. Then we work in hand, so that we can also have less risk from that area.
Camnet News will continue to monitor the development of the matter in the two communities. Zipora Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka. An agriculturalist, Joe Kamutumwa, has implored government to maintain the stance taken on banning of the importation of onions. According to Mr. Kamutumwa, this is the only way Zambia will improve production, standardization of the commodity. Mr. Kamutumwa also tells Camnet News that there is an opportunity to enhance onion production through financing cooperatives using the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, especially in rural communities. Mr. Kamutumwa notes that the market already exists, hence farmers are guaranteed of profits.
The Zambian government in February 2022 suspended the importation of onions and potatoes following an outcry from the farmers. According to the Ministry of Agriculture, the move was aimed at ensuring that the interest of local farmers is protected. However, recently chain stores emerged with a narrative that there was a shortage of onions, a move stakeholders claimed was aimed at hoodwinking the government into reversing the decision to restrict imports on the commodities.
They have got preferences, or they want government to U-turn and say, no, since we Zambians have failed to supply, start importing from South Africa. We would like to appeal to the government of the Republic of Zambia, through our president, through the Minister of Agriculture, that they shouldn't uplift this ban. Give us this chance. This is our chance to create employment.
But agriculturalist Joe Kamutumwa has called on the United Party for National Development Administration to uphold the ban on the importation of onion, saying it will help Zambia improve production and standardization of the commodity.
I must thank government, because government has put its foot down and it has said we're not going to import onion. Now, this may sound as crude as it comes out, but in the long run, Zambians as citizens, we are going to benefit from this decision. What am I saying? What I'm saying is that this is going to help the agriculture, subsector where they are growing this onion to grow. I mean, what is the point of us importing onion? Honestly, 57 years after independence, we are importing onion, are now where we are, we cannot live if we don't import. No. If it means us starving ourselves for the next 2-3 years, let's do that and develop our own homegrown onion.
And Mr. Kamutuma tells Camnet News that the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, can be used to support cooperatives involved in the farming of onions, given that the market already exists, hence farmers are guaranteed profits.
Now we are told about the CDF. CDF that has come is going to the rural communities, and predominantly what the rural communities are doing is agricultural based activities. And now here is a potential market that has shown itself, because believe you me, whether government bans today, we'll continue eating our onions we'll continue eating onions in our homes. So the demand will start growing. There are these issues of farming blocks that government can also intensify. And we want to tell the Ministry of Agriculture, passionately so, to stand firm. Let them stand firm. There's nothing wrong. We want to grow the agricultural industry. These young people who all of them want to be employed as teachers and health workers, if they find an opportunity that can sustain them in the agriculture sector, they can switch and become agriculturists, and we can have more farmers.
Zambia was at risk of losing 23 million kwacha worth of the crop through wastage, provided the government had not halted the importation. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Community budgeting groups in Monza district of Southern Province have charged that many developmental projects have stalled in the area because the residents have not been holding the contractors accountable. The residents have told Camnet News in an interview that there is need to ensure budget tracking by holding both leaders and contractors accountable if the misuse of public resources is to be dealt with. And the Zambia Council for Social Development Programs Manager Zebi Zimba says the call by the Ministry of Finance to have citizens participate in the formulating of the 2023 national budget presents an opportunity for citizens who have never participated in the budgeting process to do so.
Completion of projects in the country has been a subject of great concern, and most contractors have walked to freedom without being held accountable for not completing projects even after being paid. Residents of Monza district in Southern Province, however, say they are eager to ensure that all stalled works are completed by visiting the sites and asking the leaders to be accountable as to why projects are stalled. The residents say they have gained more knowledge on the budget tracking process after the Zambia Council for Social Development formed community budgeting groups in the area and educated them on how they can track the budget.
Then about boarding secondary schools, about banji bagatambulwa bagaunka winda mumuli mongo tubelega buliba CPG antomwa abawa development committee. So milime ifayibona kwamba kuti ani bubole bwanu kwatu kwa hamaningi kamba sikomo togena ruhi twataka jisirumwe alimwa agwiba kwamba kuti ana sikomo tukisiru bazu mumali ahulumende ajisi mukapozi wa mali ajisi twaba ruhi basikomo twataka jisi.
The ways of the group by making sure that the group reaches even the remotest places of their catchment area to ensure that no one is left behind. And actually, the group wants to work with all the developmental partners that are in the catchment area.
And Chona Community Budgeting Group under KAWAMBWA constituency also says it has been engaging the leaders in the area to see where the resources have been used in the past and how the 25.7 million kwacha constituency development fund will be utilized.
Bursaries, the implementation of bursary funds. This had actually also delayed. So as a group, they went and made sure that they found out why things were not moving until they discovered that actually the project is moving. Actually has applied and they have been approved. So the group wants to make sure that they utilize all the funds to ensure that it helps the group and their beneficiaries.
Meanwhile, the Zambia Council for Social Development Programs manager Zebis Zimba says the call by the Ministry of Finance to make budget submissions for the 2023 national budget gives an opportunity for people who have never participated in the budgeting process to do so.
It is delighting to note that people here are full of enthusiasm to participate actively in the national budgeting process. I think what we want to appreciate as Zambia Council is the partnership of NGOCC, Oxfam, and ourselves with support from the European Union, which has given birth to this initiative.
Zambia has an aspiration of becoming a prosperous middle-income country by the year 2030. However, this will not be attained if the people do not participate in the formulation of the national budget, as well as hold those who handle the resources accountable by tracking the implementation of the national budget. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
In other news, the Independent Churches of Zambia President Bishop David Masupa has expressed disappointment at what he terms as an increase in levels of immorality in the country. Bishop Masupa says the immoral behavior being exhibited by young people who are moving around half naked is a sign of the end days, and some Lusaka residents have called on the police to enforce the law on all citizens who are corrupting public morals.
Indecent dressing and immoral behavior is slowly becoming a trend in the country, with women now resolving to move in half naked. In the past few days, social media was taken ablaze with videos and pictures of former Minister of Education Michael Kayingu's daughter, Iris Kayingu's half-dressed body at the Fenty Beauty launch. This has raised concerns of whether the country has lost its principles following the removal of the Ministry of Religious Affairs as a standalone ministry by the current administration. In an interview with Camnet News, Independent Churches of Zambia President Bishop David Masupa says the immoral behavior has nothing to do with the removal of the Ministry of Religious Affairs, but that the world is in its last days, and as it is written, people will become reckless. The bishop is, however, disappointed with the displaying of obscene images to the general public.
Separating of Ministry of National Guidance and Religious Affairs from being a standalone ministry to a department has caused the degradation of moral values in Zambia. That is not true. It's far away from the truth. People have just become sinful because we are living in days where prophecy is becoming true.
And some Lusaka residents are disappointed with the conduct of Ms. Kayingu, and they say according to culture, women are not allowed to undress and show certain parts of their body to the public. The resident, identified as Joshua, has since called upon the police to do what is right to preserve the coming generation.
So there is no way up to Muzimai and research.
The coming of the Western culture into Africa is slowly disintegrating the morals of the country, where immoral conduct is being perceived right, while the authorities are not taking any actions to bring sanity into their country. Cherish Siwate, for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Wife to Attorney General Mulilo Kabesha has been put to rest at Leopard Hill Park Cemetery. Mrs. Kabesha has been described by her family and friends as a strong woman who showed love to the people around her unconditionally. The Church of God National Overseer Bishop Duncan Mboma prayed for the family during this trying period. And speaking at the funeral service held at Anglican Cathedral of the Holy Cross in Lusaka, President Hakainde Hichilema urged the family to remain united and emulate Mrs. Kabesha's spirited value for education. Mrs. Rachel Kabesha was born on 10 February 1963 and died on the 26th of May 2022.
The late wife to Attorney General Mulilo Kabesha has been put to rest at Leopard Hill Park Cemetery in Lusaka.
Mrs. Kavesha, who was born on 10 February 1963, died on 26 May 2022 after an illness. The funeral was attended by various dignitaries, senior government officials, church leaders, and the Republican President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. Mrs. Rachel Kavesha has been described by her family and loved ones as a strong woman whom they derived strength from.
Just want to give Brother Kavesha to pray and just release the word for the
Rachel, I want to thank you. When I asked God and I said, God, what is your will in this situation? And then you closed your eyes. God snatched you from me. I'm so grateful. Go well, my dear wife, Rachel. Go well. Go well, my dear.
President Hakainde Hichilema comforted the bereaved family.
The lesson to learn, to be inclusive. To be inclusive and not to marginalize. When you look at the diversity of her friends from school days, you don't need to pay too much attention to notice that Rachel, in her heart, lived a person who was inclusive, who reached out to many.
And the Church of God overseer, Duncan Mboma, who spearheaded the church service, employed family members to remain strong. Mrs. Rachel Kavesha has been survived by a husband and 3 children. Mercy Chanika reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
Meanwhile, President Hakainde Hichilema has dispelled talks that his government is in support of gay rights in the country, saying that Zambia is a Christian nation and will remain as such. Speaking during the funeral service of Attorney General Mulilo Kavesha's wife, Mr. Hichilema says his government does not support gay rights and the law regarding that will continue to take its course. Meanwhile, Chikondi Foundation Trust President Bishop John Mambo has welcomed the president's decision to retain the country's values concerning homosexuality, adding that the church strongly condemns it. Bishop Mambo has further urged all well-meaning Zambians to offer support to the president instead of fighting him, adding that the president is not in charge of making laws and he should not be condemned for protecting them. Details in this report.
Earlier this month, 22, the Swedish and Finnish embassies in Zambia flew the rainbow flag along with their own national flags on their premises, which stand for the support of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer and intersex LGBTQI rights. This act has received criticism from some stakeholders who have described it as a breach of the 1961 Vienna Convention, a lack of due regards to the laws of Zambia, and religious together with cultural sensitivity to its people. And some stakeholders accused President Hichilema of being receptive to LGBT rights. And during the National Matters program, Healing Words Ministries overseer, Pastor Moses Chuluba, while anchoring the program discussing the controversial subject, made the following remarks.
President HH has not said a word, and I wouldn't falter him. The members of parliament haven't said a word. The government has not said a word. But I want to look into this camera and appeal to President HH in case this thing reaches his desk, and also members of parliament who may be pushing in the name of human rights. We are at a crossroad, Mr. President. The choice is yours. You are the leader. Just as your big brother, elder brother, President Chilwa said, this nation will go towards God. President Manawasa said, I will rule by God. President Sata said, I will rule by God. President Banda and yourself. Either we obey God or we obey the United Nations. The choice is ours.
And during the funeral of a wife to Attorney General Mulilo Kabesha Monday, Zambia's 7th President Hakainde Hichilema said gay rights or lesbian rights will not be allowed in Zambia, considering that Zambia is a Christian nation.
I'm following what's going on in the country today to say the New Dawn government is promoting lesbian rights, gay rights. That is not right. We've said it before in opposition and now in government that we do not support gay, lesbian rights as a government. The records are there. The media houses carry those records from years back. But today, in the recent days, people are propagating in the churches, preaching about lesbian rights and UPND government, New Dawn being this and that. That is divisive. You know it's not right. Let's focus on unity. Let's focus on materiality, things that matter for this country.
While LGBT rights may be considered normal in other countries, in Zambia, they amount to an abomination and a crime. Mercy Chanika reporting for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Government says it has embarked on revising policies, strategies and programs in an effort to create an enabling environment for financing of water sector programs. Speaking when delegation from Lesotho Electricity and Water Authority paid a courtesy call on him Monday, Water Development and Sanitation Permanent Secretary, Engineer Joe Kalusa, says this is in order to achieve the Vision 2030 of increasing access to water and sanitation to all. And Permanent Secretary says the government of the Republic of Zambia is still undertaking reforms in the sector as an ongoing process aimed at ensuring policies and strategies that respond to the changing needs of its citizens. And Lesotho's Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Water and Delegation Leader Nchaka Malefesana says the visit to Zambia is aimed at empowering his country and Zambia with best practices of regulating sanitation as a long-term collaboration between the two countries.
In the sector as an ongoing process aimed at ensuring policies and strategies respond to the changing needs of our people. To demonstrate government commitment, the National Water Supply and Sanitation Policy of 2020 was developed, which fully acknowledges on-site sanitation. Further, legislation is being reviewed to ensure that it meets the expectations of stakeholders in ensuring water supply and sanitation services. Additionally, financing towards water and sanitation services has been increased. This is in order to ensure attainment of universal access to water and sanitation without leaving anyone behind.
Allow me to invite you to recall that supply regulatory agencies in our respective countries, namely the National Water Supply and Sanitation Council, NOWASCO, and the Lesotho Electricity and Water Authority, LEWA, are both members of the Eastern and Southern Africa Water and Sanitation Regulators Association.
Traders at Lusaka's material market complain over uncollected garbage. This and more after the break.
We take risks every day, with some big things and some little things. Other risks are out of our control. But no matter what's important in your life, Savenda Insurance has got you covered. Whether it's for your home, vehicle, investments, or the people you love, you shouldn't have to worry about securing the future. Let us handle that. Since 2014, we have helped Zambians protect their health and personal property, offering peace of mind and fostering progress and development. Taking risks is what makes us grow. Insurance is what keeps us going strong.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
On Monday 30th May 2022, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba as he hosts Anthony Walia, the presidential spokesperson.
If that's to be done. So we need to isolate legal debt from illegal debt. Insofar as the legal debt is concerned, we need to immediately place a moratorium on that. What that means is that we need to stop commercial borrowing, because this is what has put us in the problems that we're in now. So once we've put a stop on commercial borrowing, it doesn't mean that Zambia will no longer require budgetary support from other people. We will. And this is what the European keeps saying, that we need now to leverage our bilateral and multilateral relationships with the IMF, the World Bank, and other countries.
As they discuss Zambia's current affairs on DSTV channel 274, GoTV channel 98, and Topstar channel 106.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying on. You're still watching Camnet News. Some traders at Lusaka's Material Market have expressed concern over the excess garbage that has accumulated behind the market. In an interview with Camnet News, Bridget Peary and others say despite making weekly payments of 5 kwacha to the authorities meant for the collection of garbage, the waste is never collected. And when contacted for a comment, Material Market Master Wilson Makoko has pointed out that marketers have been refusing to pay their weekly contribution of garbage, which has resulted in the delay in clearing it.
Now it's a hot issue right now. The hot issue should be sorted out.
Early 2021 saw a spate of garbage accumulating in most parts of Lusaka, especially in densely populated areas. Residents of Lusaka have time and again expressed concerns over the poor waste disposal that has led to the accumulation of the garbage. Despite the residents being assured that the garbage will be collected, some parts of Lusaka still have a challenge of excess garbage.
In a problem indeed. Let's start with ourselves, all residents of Matero. Ensure that you don't throw the garbage anywhere. But other than that, also, we will try to see if we can partner with the council under CDF and see if we can get a local company. And I'm encouraging youths
to set up something to do with garbage.
Camnet TV was Monday in Matero constituency, where marketeers have expressed concerns over the garbage that has accumulated behind Matero market.
Monga mwamine mwaonera kuno kwatu Matero market chishala ichi chatishita effects chankalabo chishala ichi kosoro taenda kuli wa councillors office taenda market kuli wa market master bankala department yao bati padibe chili chose chamile bachita. And to make the matters worse, wana bola futina tanki ili hapa pela ni pipe ya manzi manje tukumwa dot chishala plus manzi tukumwa dot mesti zoti de mazaka boba bati chosere chishala chini chiti tifuna tandizo kulivana kuno
problem makamaka manzi yani tukumwa ni dot ero imbwa zitenga zileta mayati zileta madaipa vimasaka vimafufu vangu ati pa place panaona nzoika chishala market vanagulisa na kuti chose mene zandrama zanagulisira mai vanazipeleka kuti sedwende chishara ichi setina vana vang'ono manzi ali tikumwa ni adoti chishara tinga chetipema chechishara matenda eka tinaenda kukuli vakansela uko kubeva mene vanatuzana kamba tazakamba tikamena market master taenda kuna kamba tipasa nkoni week minga last week.
Meanwhile, Matero market master Wilson Makoko says the garbage accumulating is as a result of marketeers not making weekly contributions meant for garbage collection.
So now, according to the complaints outside, I'm being told you assured them to say you're going to collect the garbage in a week's time?
Yes, I depended on what the councillor said, because he had communicated with the director of public housing. He said they'll come on Saturday. So they said from there they'll pass through here and get that here. But fortunately, that never happened. So up to now I'm still waiting. They said they would come.
Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Lusaka Magistrate Crispin Hampongani has convicted and sentenced a 46-year-old driver of Lusaka to 1 year imprisonment for alleging that President Hakainde Hichilema was an antichrist. This is in a case where Anderson Zulu, a driver at Evelyn Horn College, was facing 1 count of defamation of the president, contrary to the laws of Zambia. When the matter came up before court Monday morning, Zulu admitted at the charge, hence securing his conviction.
A Facebook post alleging that President Hakainde Hichilema is an antichrist has landed a driver at Evelyn Horn College into a 1 year sentence with hard labor. Last week on Friday morning, the accused failed to appear before the Lusaka Magistrate Court for his plea. It is alleged that on 29th April 2022, Anderson Zulu, 46, with intent to bring the name of the president into hatred, ridicule, or contempt, published a defamatory matter on his Facebook page alleging that President Hakainde Hichilema is a member of the Antichrist, so he can't get surprised. Allegations the accused failed to prove before Lusaka Magistrate Crispin Hampongani. Anderson Zulu, however, pleaded guilty to the charge of defamation of the president, alleging that he did not intend to bring the head of state into contempt, indicating that he was only having a simple conversation with his friend identified as Muhammad. However, when asked by Magistrate Crispin Hampongani if Zulu had lawful justification to defame President Hichilema, the convict denied, and Magistrate Hampongani convicted Zulu upon his own admission of guilty. In his mitigation, Zulu begged for the court's lenience, alleging that he never meant his word, neither did he know his comment would attract a serious offense. In passing judgment, Magistrate Hampongani explained that Zulu's action brought the president's name into disrepute, especially on Facebook, to which many people have access. As such, to deter would-be offenders, Zulu has been sentenced to 1 year imprisonment with hard labor effective today. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News.
The matter in which former presidential spokesperson Amos Chanda and his wife Mabel Chanda and sister-in-law Ruth Nakaundi are accused of using insulting language and obstructing anti-corruption commission officers failed to take off when it came up for ruling Monday morning. When the matter came up before Lusaka resident magistrate Dominic Makalicha, he adjourned the matter to 10th June 2022 for possible ruling, citing that the ruling was not ready at the time. In this matter, Chanda is charged with 1 count of using insulting language contrary to the laws of Zambia and 1 count of obstruction contrary to Section 63 of the Anti-Corruption Act.
The matter in which former Special Assistant to the President for Press and Public Relations, Amos Chanda, his wife, Amos Chanda, and sister-in-law, Ruth Nakaundi, are accused of using insulting language and obstructing Anti-Corruption Commission officers, came up for possible ruling on whether SEC Director General Silumesi Muchula can testify in the matter or not Monday morning before Chief Resident Magistrate Dominic Makalicha. It is alleged that on October 27, 2021, Mr. Chanda used insulting language on 3 SEC officers as they were executing their duties, a conduct likely to give provocation to the named officers so as to cause them to break the peace or commit an offense. In the second count, Mabo and Nakaundi on October 27, 2021 in Lusaka, whilst acting together, are alleged to have used insulting language repeatedly on named officers of the Commission, a conduct likely to give provocation to the officers so as to cause them to break the peace or commit an offense. However, in the third count, the trio on the same date are alleged to have obstructed and delayed officers of the Anti-Corruption Commission in the lawful exercise of their duty to search house number 67 ELM Road, Woodlands, in Lusaka, when they stated that the keys to the bedrooms were with another person purported to have travelled out of town when in fact not. In this matter, Chanda is charged with 1 count of using insulting language contrary to Section 179 of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the laws of Zambia, and 1 count of obstruction contrary to Section 63C of the Anti-Corruption Act No. 3 of 2012, while Mrs. Chanda and Ms. Nakaundi are jointly charged with 1 count of using insulting language and 1 count of obstruction. Chief Resident Dominic Makalicha, however, adjourned the matter to 10th June for possible ruling on whether SEC Director General Silumesi Muchula can testify in the matter or not, citing that the ruling was not ready at the time the case came up for ruling. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News.
And finally, in court news, Zesco Limited Head of Customer Service Kennedy Chisanga has testified before Magistrate Fides Hamaundo that details were retrieved from the power utility firm for 32 electricity prepaid meters connections, which suggested that 25 active accounts were registered under Susan Sinkala, 7 prepaid meters under Charlie Chitala as customers, while 1 electricity meter account was invalid. When the matter came up for commencement of trial, Mr. Chisanga testified that the information was retrieved in 2018 after the Anti-Corruption Commission wrote to Zesco requesting for the details of the said prepaid meters. This is in a matter in which the Ministry of Finance Senior Accountant Charles Loyana and his wife Susan Sinkala have appeared before Lusaka Magistrate Hamaundo. In a matter, they are charged with the concealment and possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime valued at over 37 million kwacha.
Trial has commenced in a case in which a Lusaka couple is accused of concealing the infamous 51 houses in Lusaka's Chalala area. Testifying before Lusaka Magistrate Court was Zambia Electricity Supply Corporation Limited Zesco Head of Customer Services Kenneth Chisanga, 46. He testified that in 2018, the Anti-Corruption Commission SEC requested for details of 3 electricity prepaid meters through a warrant of access letter that was served to Zesco's Managing Director for property on plot number 384 and 19897 in Chalala, Lusaka. He testified that the 3-meter numbers were registered under Susan Sinkala and the details were provided to SEC through a letter to which Mr. Chisanga says more requests for actual details of the forms of electricity connections were made, totaling to 33. Mr. Chisanga was testifying in a matter where a Ministry of Finance Senior Accountant, Charles Loyana, and his wife, Susan Sinkala, are charged with concealment and possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime valued at over 37 million kwacha. The ZESCO sales boss, Faida, testified that the information retrieved from the customer's management system showed that 25 electricity prepaid meters were registered under Susan Sinkala and 7 were registered under Charlie Chitala, while the other meter was invalid. Mr. Chisanga Faida testified before Magistrate Hamaundu that the customer's management system managed to retrieve details of 32 meter numbers that were shared with SEC and observed that 4 applications were tendered before ZESCO, in which the first applications were 11 supply points to which applied for electricity connection, while in the second application 13 supply points were identified. In the third and in the fourth application, 7 supply points were identified. It is alleged that the 2 applications registered under Susan were received in 2014 and the 4th application was received in 2017, registered under Charlie Chitala. Mr. Chisanga explained that he was tasked to compile the information using a schedule and details of the 32 electricity meters were shared on behalf of the ZESCO Managing Director to SEC through a letter. It is alleged that 2 of the applications were received between 17th September 2014 and another between 12 November 2017 to the said property located off Shantumbu Road in Chalala. In this matter, Charles Loyana and his wife Susan Sinkala Loyana are charged with 2 counts of corrupt practices involving concealment and possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime valued at over 37 million kwacha. Lusaka Magistrate Fides Hamaundu has adjourned the matter to Tuesday 31st May 2022 for continuation of trial. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News.
This is Camnet News. We take our second set of commercials. When we return, we look at international and sports news. Stay with us.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the ministry.
There's so much data.
Mom?
Yes, baby?
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
We take risks every day, with some big things and some little things. Other risks are out of our control. But no matter what's important in your life, Savenda Insurance has got you covered. Whether it's for your home, vehicle, investments, or the people you love, you shouldn't have to worry about securing the future. Let us handle that. Since 2014, we have helped Zambians protect their health and personal property, offering peace of mind and fostering progress and development. Taking risks is what makes us grow. Insurance is what keeps us going strong.
On Monday 30th May 2022, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba as he hosts Anthony Walia, the presidential spokesperson.
That to be done. So we need to isolate legal debt from illegal debt. Insofar as the legal debt is concerned, we need to immediately place a moratorium on that. What that means is that we need to stop commercial borrowing, because this is what has put us in the problems that we're in now. So once we put a stop on commercial borrowing, it doesn't mean that Zambia will no longer require budgetary support from other people. We will. And this is what the European depiction is saying, that we need now to leverage our bilateral and multilateral relationships with the IMF, the World Bank, and other countries.
As they discuss Zambia's current affairs on DSTV channel 274, GoTV channel 98, and Topstar channel 106.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp and text messages. Make a dent with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying on. In international news, lawmakers in the Central African Republic voted Friday to abolish the death penalty. The law was passed by acclamation as the Speaker of the National Assembly made the announcement. The first legislation to become law, President Faustin Todare should still issue a statement. Rights group Amnesty International welcomed the good news and urged him to do so. Here is a roundup of international stories.
Lawmakers in the Central African Republic voted Friday to abolish the death penalty. The legislation was passed by acclamation as the Speaker of the National Assembly made the announcement. For it to become law, President Faustin Todare still has to issue it. Bangui residents largely welcomed the news. As far as I know, death penalty has not been applied for the last 30 years, so I don't see the need for it in our Central African laws. I think it's a very good thing. It's a law that is not good for our country. The president has decided to abolish the death penalty. In any case, we strongly support this decision, because taking someone to hang him or her and to kill him or her is not normal. That the CAR has joined the list of countries which have accepted the total abolition of the death penalty is a great source of joy. So I am delighted for what the National Assembly of my country did last Friday. The last official execution in the Central African Republic took place in 1981. The country followed Sierra Leone last year in banning capital punishment. Last week, the Zambian president called for the end of the death penalty. A welcome feat for a celebrity. After 41 days on the road, Nigerian biker Kunle Adeyanju was greeted to cheers. The adventurer reached Sunday, the border between Benin and Nigeria, after he embarked on a trip from London to Lagos to raise funds for the fight against polio. He was mesmerized by the encounters along the 13,000 kilometers he traveled and urged Africans to tell their own stories.
My discovery, my one take-home from this ride is the story of the African people. I discovered that African people are nice people. African people are hospitable people. Africa is a land of diversity. It's a land where every step you go through, you discover something new, something interesting. It is totally different from what I read about Africa in the media.
At the Seme-Krakre border post, Adeyanju received yet a new stamp on his passport, proof for the 13 countries he crisscrossed. The funds generated from his adventure will go for charity, with 20% dedicated to the End Polio Now campaign.
You look at the issue of polio, like you said, we need to get rid of it. We have the technology, we have the vaccine, so we can do it. The point is, why are people not doing it? Why are we not being able to do it? It's all about awareness.
The rider has been documenting his adventures online and became a sensation. If it is the end of his London to Lagos mission, the Nigerian-born will soon be busy again. He will embark on a new journey.
I'll be riding from Lagos to Israel, then through Asia, then basically I'll be heading to the Tibetan Plateau. Then there I'm going to ride to Everest Base Camp. Then when I get to Everest Base Camp, I want to attempt to climb Mount Everest.
The Lagos State Governor praised Adeyanju's courage and determination in embarking on the adventure for charity. Polio, a highly infectious viral disease, essentially affects children. If Africa was declared free of world polio virus in 2020, countries continue to conduct immunization programs.
Investigations are ongoing in Burkina Faso's Percoa zinc mine, as 2 more dead bodies have been recovered. Unexpected rains flooded the mine 6 weeks ago, trapping 8 miners working at a depth of more than 500 meters. Rescue efforts continue, and experts have been flown in from Canada, Australia and South Africa to help with operations. The group of missing miners consisted of 1 Tanzanian, 1 Zambian and 6 Burkinabe. 2 miners are still missing. The authorities are yet to reveal the identities of the bodies that were recovered so far.
Well, that's it for international news. We look at sports news. The Football Association of Zambia President Andrew Kamanga says he has held bilateral talks with FIFA President Gianni Infantino to mobilize more resources for African leagues. Speaking to the media, Kamanga notes that one of the issues discussed was the promotion of women's football in Africa. Kamanga says women's football in Zambia is doing well, adding that girls have what it takes to qualify to the World Cup. Let's look at this.
Very easy, and also open up opportunities for coaches from Africa to be able to coach anywhere in the world, because football is the same, it's round. We've seen a good number of our players from Africa coming into Europe, because ultimately that's where the competition is high. But we hope that we may get to a point where we have enough resources within Africa and keep our players in Africa, and then at that point try and attract the best from Europe. So maybe one day we'll get there, but those are areas of cooperation, and I think FIFA will take it to look at some of those aspects. On the administration, I did raise a number of issues where I believe on the governance side we need to continue strengthening governance. If we do, it will obviously reflect in the way associations are managed. The expectation from FIFA is, yes, they're giving a lot of money, but that should also be repaid with responsibility.
Well, that's where we wrap it up for our news this evening. The headlines once again. President Hakainde Hichilema shames doomsayers on the LGBT rights. The church condemns the parading of nudity on social media. Chief MUNKATA of KAWAMBWA district pleads with government to revive stalled works for the district hospital. In international news, Central African Republic, BANGUI residents react to members of parliament voting to end death penalty. And in sports news, FAS in talks with FIFA over resource mobilization for African leagues. We now look at the Camnet verse of the day, and it's coming from Psalms 56 verse 4, and it reads, "In God whose word I praise, in God I trust, I will not be afraid. What can mortal man do to me?" Well, thank you so much for choosing Camnet TV. My name is Sharon Kalimbola. Good night.